does medical missions throughout the world as well too. So with that, I want to turn it over to Dr. Melody Rodarte.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I love doing these with you too, and the feeling is mutual because I know the medical side and I love learning the financial side from those who can teach me in this. So I thank you very much for letting me always ask questions regarding the finances. I'm more than happy to answer the medical side, of course. So let me share my screen as I continue to talk. But I get excited when I get to share information with people, and that's what we're going to do tonight. My goal has always been to educate my patients and give them the tools to make decisions that are right for them. And it started when I started my practice back in 2005, 2006. I would say, I'm not your mom, I'm your doctor. I'm going to give you options, we'll discuss it, and then it's up to you to put in place what's important to you. And I'm a DO, I'm a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and I chose that route because I loved integrating both Eastern and Western medicine. That was important to me. On the screen, you can see my family, and the reason why I'm here tonight specifically is because of my son there, because I was looking for something for him to help reduce his stress. He has an autoimmune condition called alopecia totalis, and I was looking for something other than steroids and Prozac to help him have his beautiful hair come back. So I'm very thankful for someone who wanted to share that with me, and that's what I'm going to do tonight, is share this with you, and hopefully you'll see the passion of why I continue to teach and train teams on these medical breakthroughs and how to stay healthy and out of the doctor's office. What a concept, right? To stay healthy and out of a doctor's office. So if you know me, you know I love to teach and I want to educate. So we're going to start there. The first word is nutrigenomics, and it's using nutrition to help gene expression. And you're going to be hearing this word often now. The Today Show has had several segments. We've seen it in Time Magazine and Popular Science. It's a word that's going to stay. We're trying to help our genes express themselves correctly. And we're trying to biohack that aging process, taking a complex system and making it simpler. And our bodies can be so complex, but at the same time, we can break it down and figure out how to help each level out so that there's a synergy there. And this is here to stay. That personalized health market is growing, definitely. And so I would love for you to know what there is available to you. And Shawn will talk a little bit more about that later. But you might be wondering as you're listening to this, is why is a physician, doing a webinar? Hopefully you'll get that answer as you're listening too. And so another definition is going to be oxidative stress. So it's the natural wear and tear that's happening inside of our bodies. It's happening inside of innate objects as well. So a perfect example that we can kind of grasp is this apple. If you cut that apple in half, that oxygen is hitting the pulp, it's oxidizing, free radicals are being released, and it's starting to age. And it doesn't matter if that apple was frozen for a year and then made it to the shelf, or you grew it in the backyard with love and tenderness, it starts to age once it is cut open. And so whether or not we eat well, we use pesticides, herbicides, gas, we live in a polluted area in the sunshine, all of us start to age. And if we cannot clean up that oxidative stress, if we cannot neutralize those free radicals, disease can set in. So those free radicals will damage a cell. That cell makes up a tissue. The tissue makes up an organ, and then we get disease. So on the right-hand side, you can see that there are over 200 diseases that we know of that free radical damage and oxidative stress will lead to problems. So, it can affect the heart, and you can have a heart attack or high blood pressure, skin issues, kidney issues, lung, brain, the immune system. That's really what struck me. I was trying to reduce an autoimmune process in my son, and they run in our family too. How do we prevent those from happening, right? Diabetes, migraines. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that is what we are going to share tonight mostly, is why should you care, is if you are like me and want to slow down that aging process and to grow old kicking and screaming, then we've definitely got something to perk your interest. So it started back in 2005 with an ABC Primetime Investigative Report, and I'm going to show that right now because it's really truly where the story began. And you'll see John Quinones, you'll recognize his face, and he's going to do a Primetime Investigative Report.
The following is an ABC Primetime Investigative Report that aired in 2005.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life.
It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
This is pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
Kind of scoop, yeah, there we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells. But as we get older, some of those toxic radicals overwhelm our enzymes and wreak their havoc. For a long time, scientists thought that antioxidant vitamins like C and E would lower it, but they don't.
As it's turned out in just the last 5 years or so, we see that they're not good enough tools. They're not powerful enough.
But this pill, he says, is powerful enough. In fact, many times more powerful.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment.
Doesn't taste bad.
It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Whether that will lead to longer life is still unknown. Experiments to see if mice live longer are about to get underway, but it's a tantalizing theory.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes.
Have you discovered the fountain of youth?
I wouldn't put it that way, but we may have discovered something that will tell us a lot more about how we age, what happens biochemically, and maybe how we can slow it down. And so you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me?
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would.
And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease.
yes,
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression. But we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. But because it's being sold as a nutritional supplement and not a drug, Protandim does not need FDA approval for safety.
So after that aired, it didn't debunk the company. It actually promoted this product that could reduce their oxidative stress. So, millions of, you can see there that hundreds of thousands of orders came in, but it was a small little biotech company. And we'll talk about the problems that had happened and why we are where we're at this point. But the neat part for me and other scientists, and they were already looking, okay, we know what oxidative stress can do. What would happen if we used Protandim in these studies to reduce oxidative stress? And so you're going to see on this slide multiple well-known universities who did call up Dr. McCord and said, can we use Protandim in these studies? And so tonight, when you get off this webinar, you can go to a place called PubMed, and it's the National Archive. It's by the National Institute of Health. Anybody around the world can go there, pubmed.gov, and you can type in Protandim, and you're going to see 24 peer-reviewed studies. For me as a physician, it was incredibly important for me to be able to type that into PubMed and read literature on Protandim, because whenever a patient would bring me something, that would be the first place that I would go. I'd want to know if there were any third-party validation, any studies out there that weren't done by just the company. And the first thing that really caught my eye, you'll see it in the center there, is the American Heart Association puts out a journal called Circulation. And that was the first thing that had popped up that I saw, and I was like, okay, I have to read this first. I can't believe it's in a journal of this caliber. So those of you who love to read, go to PubMed, type in Protandim, and so you could definitely start looking through all of those journal articles and papers. But on the right-hand side, you're going to notice there are some pharmaceutical companies that are very well known. And so there is, and I love this word, a rat race right now to who can come out with products such as Protandim. So let me give you some specifics on what this is doing. So we know in the past, direct antioxidants, right? So you eat your blueberries, you eat your green leafy vegetables, you take a vitamin C or a vitamin E. Well, all you're doing is you're neutralizing a free radical at a 1-to-1. It's one and done. So what the new generation is doing is we're starting to activate. So we are coming from a place of supplementation and starting to activate. When we activate a pathway in our body called NRF2, or it'll be called NRF2 activation, NRF2 synergizer, NRF2 technology. When we can do that, what we're doing is we're allowing our body to release its own antioxidants that are much more powerful than anything that we can ingest. Things such as catalase, glutathione, heme oxygenase 1, and SOD. You can see those words there on the bottom of the screen. But when our cell can release those own antioxidants, we're releasing at a rate of 1,000,000 to 1, and they are continuing to neutralize free radicals. And so that's why we love that image there of like a fire hydrant, because it's just blasting. It's being able to reduce that oxidative stress. And that's why John Quinones's blood work looks so well so soon. So Protandim is a combination of 5 herbal ingredients. So ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, green tea, and turmeric. And you already might be taking some of those ingredients because you heard they were anti-inflammatory or anti-fibrotic or just plain old good for you. Well, the synergistic blend does make a difference. That's why we have so many patents protecting this formulation that was discovered. I'll show you a slide in a little bit about that synergy. But what I want you to really take from this is that we are reducing cellular stress. We are reducing oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and up to 70% with continued use. The FDA allows us to make that statement because of the human study. That's incredible, you guys. And then if that wasn't enough, the NIA, which is the National Institute on Aging, funded a study, and they had a medication arm and they had a natural supplement arm. Protandim was the only natural product proven to extend lifespan in a mouse and in mice, and it was about 7%, which would be about 5 human years. So that's incredible as well, to be able to go on and read that and know that this is done, this study over multiple universities. It wasn't done just at one university. So the caliber is incredible. And so the sum point is that NRF2 helps to regulate our body's own survival genes. The 2 seals of approval that you see there on the bottom, the NSF, is just a third party coming in and saying what is on the label is truly what you are ingesting. That's important, right? We want to know what we're putting into our bodies, especially when it's something over the counter. And then the BSCG is Banned Substance Control Group. So elite athletes can take this and not worry about doping. This is very difficult to get. There's only about 40 items on this list. So the fact that we made that list is great, because think of our weekend warriors and our athletes and just us normal people who work out. We build up, you know, that oxidative stress. To know that we're putting in something safe in our bodies is incredible, to reduce that inflammation and reduce that stress. And so this is the slide I was telling you about. So you can see the ingredients alone there, as well as versus taking it as Protandim. I don't think my mouse works on here when I'm kind of circling things, but if you take it in the synergistic blend as Protandim, we found that it is 18-fold increase in antioxidant release. That's why we're seeing such a decrease in oxidative stress by taking it in the form of Protandim. So those of you who are thinking, oh, I have some of these in my cabinet, this is the difference why we would say, I would rather you take it as Protandim. Plus, I don't know about you guys, I'd rather take one little yellow pill than five pills to try and get the same effect. And if you thought that NRF2 might be something that's going to come and go and not be promoted, I'm going to tell you otherwise. And this is what Washington State University said. NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. So there's 2 key words here: therapy and prevention. It's very difficult to do the same pathway. And the fact that this NRF2, now we know about it, and that's why it's called the master regulator, because it can be a therapy and a prevention for our cells to function like they should, to have the tools to function like they should. And if you remember me telling you that there are pharmaceutical companies that are making NRF2 activators, this is the first one that was on the market. It's called Tecfidera. And if you have MS, then you most likely have heard about it. But if you haven't, you probably haven't heard about it. And Biogenetic is the pharmaceutical company. And they asked if they could go head-to-head with Protandim because they wanted to see how their new drug, how it compared to a natural herbal supplement that was technically is the most potent NRF2 activator on the market still. And so this is what they said. Interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore maybe the most suited as a therapeutic strategy. I'm not sure about you. I'd rather take something natural. And Protandim is, I think now $41 with shipping and tax versus a $50,000 a year drug called Tecfidera, and you'd have to have MS to take this. And it does come with side effects. There is another drug that was released last year for ALS. So majority of the drugs that are coming out on the market are, one, synthetic, and two, extremely expensive, and three, you have to have a certain disease to then get approval to take it. So that is a major difference to taking Protandim. You, one, do not have to have a disease. I'm going to stop and say that we are not meant to treat, prevent, mitigate disease. What we're doing is allowing the body to have the tools to function. And so when you're taking it naturally, one, we're giving the tools to the body to help reduce oxidative stress that is linked to, one, creating disease, and two, the promotion or the chronicity of diseases and the progression. So I hope that makes sense. And then we do have an NRF1 activator that helps our mitochondria. And all we usually think about with mitochondria is ATP and energy. And what we need to know now is it's even more than that. So it's linked to so many neurologic disorders, and as well as diabetes and cancer. I like to tell everybody in the room when I'm usually presenting that I learned about mitochondria being a part of cancer about 2 years ago. We never really thought of it that way. And the mitochondria, one of their biggest function is to protect our gene, our genome. And when the gene is not protected, then a genetic mutation can happen. So that's why we need healthy mitochondria. The mitochondria have an intense network, and that network talks to each other throughout the entire body. And if a cell cannot clean up its act, it needs to die. And that's the function of the mitochondria, being able to do that. And when it doesn't, that's where disease can happen. And the most worrisome one that we always think about usually is cancer. And so our Protandim NRF1 Synergizer increases our cellular energy, helps our performance. It helps sleep. We actually have a sleep study. So those of you who, I talked to someone today, I was so excited. She stopped taking her Benadryl with the starting Protandim. It's just helping those mitochondria function. And then NRF1, what it's also doing is it's helping slowing down that cellular aging by helping our chromosomes stay intact and function and protect itself and duplicate normally. So those of you who have not heard about leaky gut, please go on and type it into your Google search. You will be just amazed with the amount of information that is out there on leaky gut. It affects the whole body. If our gut is not intact, we can have allergies and sinus issues. We can have brain fog, depression, ADD, ADHD, skin issues. It's just amazing the type of skin issues that can happen with the food we eat. Our thyroid, T4 is converted to T3 in the gut. So it is important that our gut is functioning for our thyroid to function, whether or not we have, take thyroid medication or we make it. We need that gut intact. And then, of course, we usually think about IBS, IBD when we talk about leaky gut, and then as well as our joints and our adrenals. Very important to protect our gut. And one of the ways that we can do it is by taking a probiotic. So in the past, people would say, oh, I have, a normal gut. I don't need a probiotic. Or I haven't been on antibiotics. I don't need a probiotic. Well, I'm going to tell you that everybody needs a probiotic in some form or another because of the food we eat, the things that we are exposed to. And I don't think I've met anybody who has never been on an antibiotic once in their life. By taking an antibiotic, you can change the flora of your gut for up to 10 years is what the Human Microbiome Project is talking about. So probiotics, one, help our digestion, help our synthesis of vitamins and minerals, our absorption, but it also helps our brain. 85% of our serotonin, our neurotransmitters are released in the gut. And that's why when we feel like we have, just haven't eaten very well, we're just like, why do I feel so foggy brained or tired? I want to go take a nap. And that's because it's disrupting our gut, which disrupts what our brain is getting as communication. And then as well as our immune system. Our immune system is incredibly important, as well as insulin sensitivity. So those are all functions of our gut. And ours, our BioTrek technology, is so important. You can look it up. up to 60 to 70% of the probiotics make it through the stomach into the small and large intestine because of that patent technology. And then we also have Wellmune, and Wellmune has been shown to help the white blood cells, the neutrophils, and that those tight junctions in our gut. That's what we need, is tight junctions, so that things don't leak through and become toxic to our body. So that's what sets our probiotic. And I love that you don't have to refrigerate it either. That's the neat part. And then we have a clean omega. It's omega-3 and 7. Some of you might not have heard about 7 just yet, but 7 is becoming a big player. And then what sets ours apart is it is more DHA, incredibly important because our bodies, and more omega-3s, our bodies, and because of the food that we're ingesting, is almost too high in omega-6s most of the time. So we need omega-3s to balance it out. And then you can trace our bottle back to the boat. So it's not rancid. There's no time for it to oxidize. It's not fishy smelling. And that's what might set ours apart, as well as having vitamin D in there. So those of us who even live in Arizona, it's amazing. I'm finding vitamin D deficiency. So a little bit of vitamin D goes a long way. It helps our brain function, as well as our bones and other immune function, as well as omegas. So if you look at taking that NRF1, NRF2, the probiotic, and the omega, that is what we call the vitality stack. That's a really great way of taking care of your whole body to fight that aging process, reduce oxidative stress, help our mitochondria, and protect our gut. So that, get back to the person who invited you and ask about more information on that vitality stack. But a few other things, I'll be really brief because I can be wordy. NRF2 activation of the skin is called True Science. Every skin type can use this. You don't have to be, just wanting anti-aging. It's great for every skin type. It's a 4-step process, and it came about because Louisiana State University was looking at the activation in the skin. And so if you read those studies, they are definitely incredible. And then we have NRF2 activation of the brain through Axio. I'll tell you, I've never done a energy drink in my life before Axio, and I like to call it brain food. It's nutrition for our brain. And so one is caffeinated, one isn't. It's 100 milligrams of caffeine, less than half a cup of coffee, so you don't get the jitters. There's activated B vitamins, there's quercetin, DMAE, L-theanine. The Monterey pine bark is the NRF2 activator. These cross the blood-brain barrier, give the brain the nutrition it needs, and so mood is better, concentration is better, energy is better, function is better. And so you can kind of see that, just a young boy being able to activate his NRF2 through Protandim and Axio, and within a week or so being able to just sit down and do their homework. I mean, what a gift that is. Just nutrition, what it's meant to be, right? Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy, be thy medicine." And I have enough quotes. I won't bore you, but it's just incredible that yes, there's a place for medicine, but do things first through nutrition and activation. And then I won't forget our 4-legged friends. There's NRF2 for them as well, NRF2 activation for them, so that they can, grow old a little bit slower and be our best friend for a longer time. So with that, I'm going to leave this with one last quote. This is what Oregon State University says. When it finds a problem, NRF2 essentially goes back to the cellular nucleus and rings the alarm bell, where it can turn on up to 200 genes that are responsible for cell repair, detoxification of carcinogens, protein and lipid metabolism, antioxidant protection, and other actions. In their report, the scientists called it a longevity assurance factor. What I love about that last slide is the NIA then went on and published their study that then did show that we increased lifespan, better life, right? Less disease. And so I'll tell you, that is why I love talking about this and teaching and training a team, growing this as a business, because I'm being able to see more people and touch more people than I would in my daily practice, where if you're not overweight and if you are not needing Botox or skincare, you might not ever meet me, or if you're not in my circle of friends. And so this has given us a platform to go out and help the health of so many more people than I could do as just one person. And it's giving me a platform that I can grow a business to pass on. I love that Shawn is going to be able to talk more about that, but I have to meet my overhead. And with this giving me a platform, I'm going to be able to not worry about that overhead, so I can go out and do more medical missions, because I feel it's been a gift that I've been able to become a physician. And I want to go and do more, not just stay in my little Arizona hub.